Cowboys. Oh, sight, please. They doing the same old stuff I always know they gonna do. Cowboy fans, it's about to be a miserable season. I'll explain and then some with so much more in a minute. Stephen A. Smith Show in the house. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the latest edition of the Stephen A. Smith Show, coming at you as I love to do, at least 3 times a week over the digital airwaves of YouTube. Thanks again to my subscribers, my followers. We have now eclipsed more than 760,000. Can't thank y'all enough. We've done that over the digital airways of YouTube, and we've clearly eclipsed more than 2.5 million downloads over the last couple of months alone on iHeartRadio. So I can't thank y'all for the love and support enough. We continue to climb. We continue to excel and grow. That would not be possible if it were not for the love and support that y'all give me and y'all give this show. So I thank y'all so much from the bottom of my heart. Keep the love coming. I'm going to keep on coming. To continue to like and follow the show, just click the bell in the right-hand corner, and YouTube will be the latest member of the Stephen A. Smith Show family. And while you're at it, make sure to not forget to pick up a copy of my New York Times best-selling memoir, Straight Shooter, a memoir of second chances and first takes, now in paperback. Just go to straightshooterbook.com. Once again, that's straightshooterbook.com to grab yourself a copy of my best-selling books. Thank y'all so much for the love. By the way, I am officially off of vacation. I am done with all of that. You're going to see me on the regular from this day forward. Make no mistake about it. So look for it, hear it coming, see it coming, and here I am. Let's get started with the NFL training camps, and specifically the Dallas Cowboys, where the stare-down continues between the team and wide receiver CeeDee Lamb. Lamb's holdout has entered its 3rd week, but work remains to get a deal done that would make him among the highest-paid receivers in the National Football League, okay? But if you know Cowboys owner Jerry Jones, like I do, 3 weeks is nothing for him. Jones and the Cowboys did the same thing 31 years ago to Hall of Fame running back Emmitt Smith. Smith missed the entire training camp and the first 2 games of the season before both sides ultimately reached an agreement. And that happened after Smith won a Super Bowl, for crying out loud. That's for CeeDee Lamb. Here's what Jerry Jones said last weekend about his star wide receiver at the time. Take a look at this, please. Quote, "I understand completely the angst that's happening when you're anxious about something and someone says anything about whether you're missed or not. Well, CD, you're missed, okay? But you're not missed out here competing, and it doesn't put any pressure, any place on us." You see, to me, here's the story that's missing. The story is Jerry Jones. The story has become Jerry Jones for all the wrong reasons. At some point in time, we got to ask the question, why the hell is this treatment being accorded to CeeDee Lamb? If it were Tony Romo, it wouldn't have happened. If it was a plethora of other players, it wouldn't have happened. Why is it guys like CeeDee Lamb? Why is it guys like Ezekiel Elliott back from years ago? Why is it a Dak Prescott? Why is it guys like that? Why? Now, I'm not going to answer that question because I'm not going to act all definitive in terms of thinking I know the answer to that question. But I'll acknowledge this. It's suspicious. I'll acknowledge that it seems a bit off kilter, to say the least. I'm just going to say it plain. The fact of the matter is that Jerry Jones has a history of doing this. And I brought up the Emmitt Smith thing because I remember the 1993 season. I remember how they had won the Super Bowl in 1992. I remember that Emmitt Smith had established himself as one of, if not the elite rusher in all of football. And I remember how the Dallas Cowboys had won a Super Bowl, and then coming off that Super Bowl, with him do a contract extension, he had to end up holding out. Jerry Jones wouldn't pay him. And then after he wouldn't pay him, they lost games 1 and 2. I believe it was to the Washington, then called the Redskins at the time, and the Buffalo Bills in back-to-back games. And Jimmy Johnson, then the head coach, just came out in the press conference, post-game press conference, and just threw his hands up. And then said a word, just threw his hands up like, I need my damn running back. That's what I need. And then Jerry Jones signed Emmitt Smith to the largest contract for a running back in the history of the sport at that particular time. If I recall, it was about $13 million. And I remember seeing this look on Emmitt Smith's face during the press conference. I had never seen anybody in my life who had just gotten a record deal look so pissed. But that was Emmitt Smith. You know why he was doing that? He was like, why me? What the hell are you thinking? I spoke to him about this years later when I interviewed him. I'm that dude. I'm an elite running back. We delivered the goods. We're Super Bowl champions. We're trying to defend our crown. And here you are with this BS choosing me as the person to play hardball with. That's what Emmitt Smith was saying at that particular moment in time. Let's fast forward now to this particular day and age. Now, let's be very, very clear. There is nobody on the Dallas Cowboys that has any business being mentioned in the same breath as Emmitt Smith. He's a champion, and he was a champion. The Dallas Cowboys haven't been to the conference finals since 1995. That's 28 plus years. They're entering their 29th year, not even having gone to a conference championship game. I have no doubt that there are people out there who are cynics of a CeeDee Lamb, cynics of a Dak Prescott, cynics of a Micah Parsons, all of whom are due to get their bag. I have no doubt that there are critics out there saying, what the hell have you accomplished? Especially when it comes to Dak Prescott. 8 years in the league, only 2 playoff victories. Especially when it comes to Dak Prescott. I get that. Well, why don't you play hardball with him? I'm a proponent of that. Play hardball with Dak Prescott. He the one that ain't get it done. I can't say that about CeeDee Lamb. Market value at the moment, 4 years, $136.1 million. $34 million average annual salary. That's what his market value is at this particular moment in time. I got the notes right in front of me. Without him, who do you have to rely upon if you're the Dallas Cowboys? You got Brandon Cooks, who's a perennial number 2 or number 3 seed receiver in the National Football League. By the way, the only other people that make noise for the Dallas Cowboys, the only reason why the Dallas Cowboys receiving corps outside of Brandon Cooks will make any noise is because 3 of them are named Jalen. Jalen Tolbert, Jalen Brooks, Jalen Moreno, Cropper. Cropper hasn't caught a pass, hasn't yet played in the NFL. Jalen Brooks had 6 catches as a rookie last year, and Tolbert had 24 catches over the last 2 seasons. What are we talking about? Jerry Jones acting like it ain't no big deal. I mean, what the hell is this? And then you got a situation. I'm looking at some of these numbers. Last season, Lamb shattered Michael Irvin's franchise single-season records with 135 catches, 1,749 yards. Played the extra 17th game because back when Michael Irvin was playing, it was a 16-game season. But he beat Irvin's marks by 24 catches and 146 yards. 135 catches last season, 16 more than any other NFL player. Let's pay attention to this now. Played in 66 of a possible 67 regular season games over his 4-year career. He's only missed 1 game. So durability is not a question mark with him. 3-time Pro Bowl selection. Named first-team All-Pro for the first time last season. 19 catches for 227 yards over his last two playoff games. In terms of his ranks over the last 2 seasons, ladies and gentlemen, let's talk about this. CeeDee Lamb ranks number 1 in receptions, 242. Number 2 in receiving yards behind only Tyreek Hill with 3,108 yards. Number 2 behind only Devontae Adams with 21 touchdown catches. And then to add an elevated level of concern to everything, guess what, ladies and gentlemen? The Dallas Cowboys have 9 games this upcoming season against last year playoff teams. 2023 playoff teams. Tied for second most such games in the National Football League. 9 games against playoff teams. And 5 of the top 10 scoring defenses from last season. There's no excuse to be doing this to CeeDee Lamb. And the fact that Jerry Jones is doing it, I'm not going to troll Cowboy fans today as much as I love to. As much as I consider y'all the most disgusting, nauseating fan base in American history because y'all get on my damn nerves because y'all can sit up there and go 1-16 and then 15 minutes after the season's over, we're going to win the Super Bowl next year, right? We're going to do the Super Bowl, right? Can't stand y'all. Rats, roaches, and a Cowboy fan. That's what will survive a nuclear bomb. Yeah, I said it, and I mean it. But that's a subject for another day. Because I love trolling y'all, but it's a lot of fun. Take pictures with y'all. Love going to Dallas, seeing y'all. It's all in fun. This is serious. I don't appreciate this brother CeeDee Lamb being treated like this. I want to know why you're doing that. You see, I remember when Dak Prescott performed as a rookie and Jerry Jones' religious hesitancy in naming him the starting quarterback when Tony Romo clearly was not healthy, clearly was contemplating stepping away from the game. He just didn't have it. And Jerry Jones held on to him for dear life. Didn't want to give that job to Dak Prescott because Tony Romo was like a son to him. Even though Tony Romo didn't win but 1 or 2 playoff games either. Then when Dak Prescott was due to get his money, Jerry Jones held out as much as he possibly could to prevent him from getting his money. I remember that too. So then we go from there. And now we fast forward to here with CeeDee Lamb, the wide receiver. Justin Jefferson, Tyreek Hill, and CeeDee Lamb, along with Devontae Adams, are pretty much considered the best 4 receivers in the National Football League. If I left out anybody because I got brain lock, I apologize. But I believe they're the 4 best receivers in the National Football League. It ain't CeeDee Lamb's fault that the Dallas Cowboys can't win a damn playoff game. Why are you doing this to him? At some point in time, can we have a conversation about the legacy of a Jerry Jones? Can we have that conversation? Can we look at Jerry Jones and say, yo, what's up, man? You're 81, 82 years old. You've told us you're staring mortality dead in the face. You've told us you ain't what you used to be, as none of us are. You've said all of this. What you messing around for? Could it be, Jerry Jones, that your definition of winning isn't what most people's definition of winning in the National Football League is these days? Could it be, Jerry Jones, that when Sportico revealed that the Dallas Cowboys franchise is worth over $10 billion, when the average NFL franchise is worth $5 billion, could it be that's your definition of winning? Could it be the fact that during training camp and during OTAs, that your definition of winning is that the Dallas Cowboys were in the news and were making back pages? Could it be that that is your definition of winning? See, we got to start asking these questions. Because there's simply no excuse for Jerry Jones to take the positions that he has taken doing this nonsense. It ain't right. And I'm just looking at it right now. Justin Jefferson's gotten paid. Tyreek Hill's gotten paid. Jalen Waddle has gotten paid. I mean, there's a bunch of brothers. A.J. Brown for the Eagles, he got paid. He's one of the top receivers too. Let me not leave him out. Everywhere you turn, you got receivers, teams moving ahead and saying, yo, this person's worth this. This is what they bring to the table. It's not right. And so the Dallas Cowboys are going to sit here. Your offensive line ain't what it used to be. Ezekiel Elliott is what you view as a star running back at this moment in time. Brandon Cooks is your number 1 wide receiver with 4 no-names backing him up as a 3rd wide receiver and beyond. What are you giving Dak Prescott to work with? What are you giving him? Defensively, you got a new defensive coordinator, Mike Zimmer, replacing Dan Quinn. You're switching your defense to a 4-3 because going too small and relying upon speed had y'all ran roughshod all over the damn place. How does this equate to winning? There's no way that an owner, a president, a GM, all 3 of which happens to be Jerry Jones, can deduce that this leads to winning. Especially with the Philadelphia Eagles, with Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown and Goddard, and now Saquon Barkley coming out of the backfield with Jalen Hurts as your quarterback. There's no way in hell that you could think this equates to winning in the NFC East with what the Eagles did for themselves. There's no way you can equate that this is going to be beneficial when the Detroit Lions were just in the NFC Championship game. When Jordan Love and the Green Bay Packers smacked y'all around and was up 48-16 in a playoff game before pulling off the Wolves, calling off the Dogs, ramrodding you on your own home turf in the playoffs. There's no way that you can deduce that this is an ingredient for winning when the San Francisco 49ers are still salivating for a chance to win a championship after they just blew another Super Bowl. Brock Purdy's still there. Christian McCaffrey's still there. Deebo Samuel's still there. George Kittle's still there. Brandon Ayuk at damn well better stay there, even though I hope my Steelers get him. There's no way. There's no way. You, Jerry Jones, all you're staring at is another season where y'all ain't going to do shit but tease everybody into thinking that you might be relevant. And then ultimately you get to the playoffs and you can't get it done. Now, I don't know what to say about that. I really, really don't. But I know that Mike McCarthy is on the hot seat because if he doesn't win this year in the final year of his deal, chances of him getting renewed might not look good. They should have grabbed Bill Belichick. I said that before. I'll say it again. Because Bill Belichick don't give a damn about the media. He just cares about football. Jerry Jones wants to be in front of the media's face all day, every day. So let Jerry Jones talk his talk. You coach your coaching. And it would have been fine. It would have been a match made in heaven. But Jerry Jones didn't want to let go of Mike McCarthy. Jerry Jones didn't want a coach that could look him in the face and say, go sit your ass down. I got this. I'm a 6-time Super Bowl champion as a head coach, a 2-time champion as a defensive coordinator. I don't need your input. Fall back. Jerry Jones didn't want to deal with that, some would say. And so we have a situation right now where Jerry Jones is flexing because he doesn't want to play. He doesn't want to pay somebody who clearly deserves to be paid. It's CeeDee Lamb. By the way, Michael Parsons deserves to be paid too. If I'm going to hesitate about anybody, it's about Dak Prescott. Why? Because I've seen Dak Prescott fidgety in clutch moments in the postseason. That's why. And this brother's looking for over $60 million, guaranteed, per. I don't know if I'm doing that for Dak Prescott. I do know that CeeDee Lamb is worth $34 to $35 million. I do know that Michael Parsons, 13 sacks minimum per season in his first 3 years. Only one other NFL player ever did that in NFL history, and that's the late, great Reggie White, God rest his soul. Oh, yeah, I'm paying that, brother. It's Dak Prescott that's the question mark to me. Let's just call it what it is. Either way you slice it, it's not a good thing to see. It's not a good thing to look at. And I'm just looking at them right now, and I got to tell you, Dallas Cowboys in trouble because of this nonsense by Jerry Jones. Normally, I would be happy about this. If this was November, December, I would be happy about this. I don't like it this way in August. I want the Dallas Cowboys to tease fans and then plummet. I don't want us knowing they're going to suck from the very beginning. And you got the players talking about, well, yo, CeeDee Lamb going to be here. He going to be here. This is a business. We know he's going to be here, blah, blah, blah. Well, guess what? Yo, Jerry Jones, when a player is going to say to you, why don't you stop acting this way? If you got a brother that's producing, why is he the one you got to play hardball with? Why don't you play hardball with somebody else? I'm just saying. Coming up, Jim Harbaugh says he wants Colin Kaepernick with the Chargers as a coach. Good idea? I'll get into that next after a word from our sponsors. You're watching the Stephen A. Smith Show right here, right now. Okay, everybody, you know what time it is. It's time for Stephen A. Sports Picks. Everybody knows that I'm a sports fanatic. But even more than that, I need to be a part of the action. And do you know who helps me do that? PrizePicks, of course, the largest fantasy sports platform in all the land with over 3 million members. It's incredibly easy to participate. You just choose 2 or more of your favorite players and pick more or less on their projected stats for the game. It takes less than 60 seconds, of course. And get this, sign up and code SAS and PrizePicks will give you $50 instantly when you play your first $5 lineup. You don't need your lineup to win or receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. All you have to do is play a $5 lineup on PrizePicks, and you'll get $50 instantly. So now, let's look at my winning picks. Today, we're selecting from the WNBA. First up, Sabrina Ionescu, more or less than 6 assists. See, Ionescu, what are you talking about? She's a gold medalist. She's a protege of Kobe Bryant. She is phenomenal. 6 assists is nothing for her, especially in the first game back. She'll be just fine. We're going to go with more on that, all right? We're going to go with more. Brittany Griner, more or less than 18.5 points. I was iffy on this, but with the emotion she showed on the gold medal stand, having won gold for Team USA, hyped and excited about the prospect of the WNBA season continuing and her doing her thing, I'm willing to concede that, you know something, I think she's going to be just fine. I think she's going to be ready. I think she's going to go out there and score more than 18.5 points this game. I think we're going to go with that, okay? Of course, Angel Reese, more or less than 27.5 points, rebounds, assists combined. She's a walking double-double. So the question is she going to have a few assists? Could you pencil her in for 3 or 4 assists? I'm going to say yes. We're going to go with more when it comes to Angel Reese. That's it. You see what I said. More or less, Ionescu, Brittany Griner, Angel Reese. More. That's what I went with. Why? Because with PrizePicks, I expect to get more. I expect to earn more. I expect to have more money in my pocket when all is said and done. That's what you do when you're doing business with PrizePicks. You heard me? Welcome back to the Stephen A. Smith Show right here over the digital airwaves of YouTube and, of course, iHeartRadio. Let's get back to the NFL and the Los Angeles Chargers, where new head coach Jim Harbaugh, made headlines yesterday. Harbaugh invoked the name of Colin Kaepernick and said he'd like to see his former quarterback back in the league. As a coach, you'll recall that Harbaugh and Kaepernick went to Super Bowl 47 in 2012, where they lost to the Baltimore Ravens. Now Harbaugh, who's back in the league as the Chargers head coach, says he talked to Kaepernick about joining the Chargers in a non-playing capacity. Look at this quote right here. Harbaugh says, quote, he'd be a tremendous coach if that's the path he chose. We talked about it a little bit. He's considering it. He was out of the country. He said he was going to get back to me. We haven't reconnected since then. That was early in the year, end quote. Couple of things. Major props to Jim Harbaugh. Jim Harbaugh is one of the great coaches that's coaching today. Did an excellent job coaching the San Francisco 49ers all of those years. Took them to the Super Bowl, 3 conference NFC championship games in 4 years. Took over the Michigan program, won a national championship, revitalized, rebuilt that program, made them relevant again. They're the reigning national champions. And now that he's back in the National Football League, he's earned the right to do what he wants. And if he wants to bring Colin Kaepernick there, cool, no problem. I think Colin Kaepernick would be a good coach. I think that Colin Kaepernick, if he wants the opportunity, should be the coach. What I would say, however, is I don't want to hear shit about him being a quarterback no more. That ship should have sailed. Not only has it sailed, it should have sailed. I know some people don't want to say it. I will. Now, we're going to ignore the fact that over his last 2 years quarterbacking in the National Football League in 2015 and 2016, Colin Kaepernick's total record as a starter was 3-16. We're going to ignore the fact that he hasn't played football since that time. Obviously, taking a knee, bringing attention to police brutality and the uncivilized manner in which black folks and minorities throughout this country have been treated by police officers and the like. He was blackballed. He was ostracized. We know this. Nobody's running from that. It's absolutely true. And the NFL owners should be ashamed of themselves. Make no mistake about it. But it's been 8 years. 8 years. And if we're going to talk about Colin Kaepernick, we need to talk about him honestly. Let's just talk about the facts. His career record as a starter is 28-30. He didn't really do anything since Jim Harbaugh departed. We also have to take into account the fact that Commissioner Roger Goodell, the National Football League, in concert with the likes of Jay-Z and Rock Nation and others, facilitated a return to the National Football League for Colin Kaepernick. We want to act like we just want to throw that aside. Oh, they wanted him to sign, some waiver, and it was a waiver that nobody else had to sign. Well, keep in mind that when Colin Kaepernick was blackballed, he ultimately sued the league and reached the settlement. How many people get to sue a former employer and then get rehired by him? But that's what happened. That's what was going to happen, rather. He sued the league, reached the settlement, and thereafter, when owners didn't want anything to do with him, because by this time, years later, like 2019, something way around there, when you had the Patrick Mahomes of the world, the Deshaun Watsons of the world, the Russell Wilsons of the world, and others being the highest paid individuals, let alone quarterbacks in the National Football League, they didn't feel they needed a Colin Kaepernick. Jay-Z and them said, hell no. Yes, you do. We can't go with this. You need to give that man a chance. And Commissioner Roger Goodell supported that. And what did they do? Colin Kaepernick, with his lady, who at the time were looking for support to get one team, to give him a tryout. Roger Goodell and the National Football League facilitated a tryout situation at the Atlanta Falcons practice facility with all the bells and whistles, coaches, film, everything. It was all laid out for him. 26 different teams showed up. 18 sent black folks from player personnel scouting and beyond to evaluate him. And at the 11th hour, approximately 2 to 3 hours before the damn workout was to begin, Colin Kaepernick decides he ain't showing up. He gonna have a workout at some high school an hour and 20 minutes away in the outskirts of Atlanta, where more than half the people that showed up at the Atlanta Falcons practice facility, they didn't get word until it was too late and they couldn't make it there for his workout in time. It was at that moment that all hell broke loose for me, because I said, it's over. Hell with it. He don't want to play football. He wants to be a martyr. People were upset, and they were salty at me about that then. It's years later. For the record, I don't give a damn. I still stand about what I said, because it was the truth, and I was proven yet again to be right. If you want to be a martyr, there's no crime in that. We, as black people, benefited from Colin Kaepernick. Nobody's denying that. But if you said you want to play football, if your lady said you wanted to play football, and you were pursuing a tryout with a particular team, how the hell you don't show up when 26 teams showed up? How do you let that happen? Could it be because even though you may have wanted to play football, the real priority for you was bringing noise to your cause? To highlight yet again that the NFL wasn't doing right by you, instead of you going out on that football field and showing that you could still ball? Ladies and gentlemen, the facts have borne out. It's been proven. And his concerns about, hey, you know what? They might keep me off a team. Well, you know what NFL teams had a concern about? That if they didn't feel you were good enough, you was going to accuse them of being racist. Even though some of them might have had a black quarterback that they were going to put ahead of you. Or it wasn't even about race. It might not even have been about race, or your accusation might not have been about race. They were just out to get your ass because you sued them. It could be anything. But the point is, that was his last shot to play in the National Football League. This becomes interesting because Jim Harbaugh is the coach. He's the money man. He's the face of the Chargers franchise. And if Colin Kaepernick wants to coach in the National Football League and Jim Harbaugh says, yo, come do this, two things could happen. The owners could get in the way and pose resistance. Spanos and those guys in L.A. That could happen because they might be scared even as a coach he's taking the knee again. And if they're not scared of that, maybe they're scared of Jim Harbaugh saying, now that you're on my coaching staff, guess what? A quarterback got hurt. I need you to go in there instead of Justin Herbert. I need you to go in there and play. And that might be a way to get him back into the league, and they might be resistant to that. If I'm Colin Kaepernick, I take that chance. I go right there because nobody's looked out for him in the sport of football more than Jim Harbaugh. You go, you take that opportunity. Because whether it's playing or whether it's coaching, you back in the National Football League. And once you in, unless you're losing or unless you're doing something unlawful or whatever, it's going to be pretty difficult to get you out. This might be his chance to get in. What you going to do about that, bro? What you going to do about it? Because ain't nobody else trying to take that chance on Colin Kaepernick. Jim Harbaugh is the perfect man to do it. Props to him. Props to him. Coming up, that ain't the only NFL topic on my mind. I got some more. Aaron Rodgers, rookies. There's a lot more to discuss, but not before we hear a word from our sponsors. I'm sure that you all know that the NFL season is just around the corner. And if you need to be in the middle of that action like I do, don't worry, because PrizePicks has got you covered. You see, PrizePicks is a daily fantasy sports app that can help you cash in on every pass, catch, and sack. All you do is select 2, 3, or even up to 6 of your favorite players and then pick more or less on their projected stats for the game. What's even better, PrizePicks has something for every sports fan. Choose from the WNBA, MLB, MMA, and everything in between. I make my picks in less than 60 seconds and submit early. Then I sit back and watch, and get this. Sign up with code SAS and PrizePicks will give you $50 instantly when you play your first $5 plus lineup. You don't need to win your lineup to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. All you have to do is play a $5 lineup on PrizePicks, and you'll get $50 instantly. Pick more. Pick less. It's really, really that easy. It pays to get paid on Cash App. Some people think paying overdraft fees is unavoidable. When you deposit your paycheck on Cash App, you can get up to $50 in free overdraft coverage. Having a little cushion to give you peace of mind at no extra cost is a very beautiful thing. If you could deposit your paycheck on Cash App and get up to $50 in overdraft coverage at no cost, would you? I'm talking about up to $50 in free overdraft coverage. A little peace of mind in case of oversight at no extra cost. Now that's something to think about. Stop sitting on the bench with people who can't play and get into the game with Cash App. So once again, getting paid on Cash App isn't just convenient. Cash App has got you covered. It pays to get paid on Cash App. That's money. That's Cash App. Download Cash App from the App Store or Google Play Store today. Welcome back. Now let's talk about Jets quarterback Aaron Rodgers. There's an unauthorized biography on the Jets quarterback out next week. It's called Out of the Darkness, The Mystery of Aaron Rodgers. The book, written by one of the nation's great columnists, the one and only Ian O'Connor, is based on interviews with 250 people, including Rodgers himself, and delves into aspects other than football of the quarterback's life, including the long estrangement from his family and his introduction to using ayahuasca. I think that's how it's pronounced, ayahuasca. Rodgers says he regrets not being truthful when he told reporters in 2021 he was, quote unquote, immunized against the COVID-19 vaccine and then tested positive for COVID-19 3 months later and had to be sidelined for 10 days. As for the book, though, here's what the Jets quarterback had to say about the manuscript on the Boomer and Geo show on WFAN.
This Ian O'Connor book, was this an authorized or not authorized biography by you?
That's a rhetorical question.
Okay.
Is it not?
I guess. I don't know.
It's hard to tell.
I can't. I honestly, I swear to you, I was looking up this. I couldn't figure it out because there were quotes in there. So it looked like you gave your blessing. But then on the other hand, it looked like there was stuff in there that you didn't want to be in there. So I was confused. So I'm like, you know what? Screw it. I'm just going to ask him as opposed to look up the answer on the internet.
He did a lot of research. It has nothing to do with me.
Right.
But he did a lot of research on his own. He's done other books with other famous people in sports. I think he reached out to 500 people and talked to maybe half those people. At the end, although he'd already written, I believe, a first draft, we had a conversation and sat down. It was more just kind of him asking a few things. A lot of the stuff that was in there, is 20 plus years old, and I commend him for the time he spent on it. But it's not a book that I asked him to write for me. He wrote it on his own.
I have to confess, I have mixed emotions about this. And I'm bringing the subject up, number one, because it's Aaron Rodgers. Number two, that's somebody that I'd love to interview. He usually appears on Pat McAfee's show for ESPN. That's his guy. But I'd love to interview Aaron Rodgers one of these days because, I'm the one that coined the phrase, he's a bad man, because he is. The brother special. I thought before Patrick Mahomes arrived and won in the fashion that he's won over the last few years, that as a talent, Aaron Rodgers was the greatest quarterback I've ever seen in my life. That includes Dan Marino, Dan Fouts, Terry Bradshaw, Roger Staubach, Fran Tarkenton, the list goes on and on. The Warren Moons throughout the world, the Randall Cunninghams throughout the world, the Donovan McNabbs throughout the world, the Tom Brady's, Peyton Mannings of the world, everybody. As a talent, meaning your ability to throw, not just standing still stationary, but throwing on the run, your ability to run with the football, etc., the accuracy, the precision, the excellence. I thought until Patrick Mahomes arrived, there was no debate that Aaron Rodgers is the greatest quarterback I've ever seen in my life. He is that gifted. He is that special. And the only thing that I've ever had an issue with him with, I've always been a huge fan. The only thing I've ever had an issue with Aaron Rodgers was him saying he was immunized during COVID-19, as opposed to just being honest and up front and being like, yo, man, I don't believe in the vaccine, like Kyrie Irving was. Kyrie Irving was honest, and Aaron Rodgers wasn't. That's the only criticism that I've ever really given him, outside only scoring 10 points in a playoff game at Lambeau Field playing for the Green Bay Packers against San Francisco 49ers a couple of years ago. When I see this particular story, I'm torn. Ian O'Connor, one of the nicest human beings you'll ever meet, by the way. Class personified. One of the greatest writers I have ever seen. Ian O'Connor is a spectacular talent as a writer. Spectacular. He just is. And if you want somebody to write something on you, you want it to be Ian O'Connor. When you think about the top 5 people, the great Mike Wilbons of the world, the people I remember Bill Lyon, formerly of the Philadelphia Inquirer, got arrested. So this dude was phenomenal. One of just poetry in motion. There are certain writers that are just absolutely positively spectacular, and I just gave you 3 of them. Ian O'Connor is one of those people. He's special. He's decent. He's a good person. He's a consummate professional. He's thorough. He's all of that. So go get the book just because of him. Just because of him. My issue is that I'm one of those people, I've never, ever had a desire to write a biography that was unauthorized. Like, everybody knows how tight I am with Allen Iverson. Everybody knows that I covered him for years. And I know things about him that most people don't know, just like I know things about Kobe Bryant that most people wouldn't know, God rest his soul. Just like I know things about Shaq and others. They know better. I would never, ever write anything in terms of a book that's unauthorized. Me talking about what you making news for or your performance on the field or something like that is entirely different than me getting all into your personal business. I got to be authorized to do something like that. So I'm not down with that. That's just me. I'm not knocking Ian O'Connor or anybody else, but that's just me. I'm not down with that. And Aaron Rodgers, to his credit, didn't excoriate or disrespect Ian O'Connor in any way. He just simply did his homework, talked about his grandfather, talked about his family members, all this other stuff. Interviewed about half of the 500 people he reached out to. Aaron Rodgers was aware of this. Aaron Rodgers doesn't seem to have much of a problem with it. Fair enough. That's just not me. If it ain't authorized, I'm not writing about somebody's personal life without having the authorization. That's just me. The other side to it, I don't know much about Aaron Rodgers' family because I don't know it on purpose. I don't want to know. That's his business. I remember years ago I got pissed off because his brother was on The Bachelor, I think. Either The Bachelor or The Bachelorette. I don't remember. But all I remembered was his brother talking about him negatively. And I'm like, what nerves? Who the hell was thinking about you? So you going to use it as because if you ain't Aaron Rodgers' brothers, you probably wouldn't have been on the damn show. And then to come on the show and to be talking about your brother like that's pretty jacked up. Now everybody different. Let me tell you a little something about Stephen A. Smith here. I got 4 older sisters. I got 15 nieces and nephews. I got 2 daughters. And contrary to what some may think, I have pretty much nothing to hide. I don't give a shit. Anybody, and I mean anybody, that talks about my personal business in an unauthorized fashion is cut the hell off. I don't give a shit who you are. You a girlfriend, ex or present, you out. You one of my sisters, got nothing to say. One of my nieces and nephews, they know better. Now, I will confess, a little bit different when it comes to your daughters. Because it's your daughters. But even that's pushing it. I don't play that. I don't play that at all. Because you know what Stephen A. not going to do? I'm not going to talk about other people's personal business like that in a public forum. I'm not doing that. You rapping to somebody privately and a few words come out or whatever. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about a book. Talk about interviews. You talking about people, personal stuff. Nah, I ain't doing that. See, we live in a world where the code has evaporated. Why you think I got so pissed when Steven Jackson, for all the smoke, associated me with that word snitch because of the whole Russell Westbrook nonsense during the playoffs when I had to call the league office? Because that's some stuff I don't do to nobody. Nobody. I don't play that. And to me, people who are comfortable doing that, it's just an uncomfortable feeling. I'm not talking about Ian O'Connor here because obviously he went to Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers didn't ask him. He said, I didn't ask him to do it, but it's like he forbid him to do it, and Ian O'Connor kept doing it. So let's be fair to Ian O'Connor here. But I'm just using this as an opportunity to talk about a general principle that I think has been vastly ignored. Even in the workplace. There's stuff that happens in the workplace. Right here on the Stephen A. Smith Show. Right there on First Take. NBA Countdown, all that other stuff. Ain't nothing to hide. It just ain't none of your damn business. And the second I'm working with someone, for someone, or somebody rolling in my inner circle, and they go out there running their damn mouth, persona non grata. It's not an accident why you don't hear much inside info about me. Because people know. You try that shit with me, it ain't going well. By the way, before we get a break, let's take a quick look at this year's rookie quarterbacks, all right? Because not all 6 quarterbacks picked in the top 12 of the draft are going to be a hit, or going to hit it big, rather. There will inevitably be some busts. But let's talk about a few, starting with number 1 overall pick, Caleb Williams. I believe in his brother. The Bears rookie looked comfortable in his preseason debut against the Bills, going 4-7 for 95 yards with a 101.8 passer rating. Looked composed. Also converted 3rd and long with a 13-yard run. Let's give props where props is due. Number 2 overall pick, Jaden Daniels, also impressed, completing 2 of his 3 passes and rushed for a 3-yard touchdown on his only drive of the day. That's nice. Number 3 pick, Drake May of the Patriots, completed 2 or 3 passes for 19 yards. This is his only series, nothing to write home about, but damn it, he didn't look awful. The surprise pick of round 1, Michael Penix Jr., who went to the Falcons with the 8th overall pick, completed 9 of 16 passes for 104 yards while leading the Falcons to 1 touchdown and a field goal. So we like that. We like that. All of those brothers got promise. Penix, if Kirk Cousins is healthy, he ain't going to see much playing time, in my opinion. Drake May, whatever you see, it ain't going to be that impressive because he's with the Patriots. Jaden Daniels, he might be special. We got to keep our eyes on him. And I think Caleb Williams is special. And now you got DJ Moore and Keenan Allen. Watch out. And you got that cat from Washington that you drafted. Special. Watch Washington. Watch Washington. Coming up, presidential candidate RFK Jr. was on Hannity last night. And he had some interesting things to say about Democrats trying to keep him off the ballot. I'll get into all of that, plus a little something extra before I get on out of here for the day. You're watching the Stephen A. Smith Show right here over the digital airwaves of YouTube. And, of course, listening to me on iHeartRadio. Back with more in a minute. Welcome back to the Stephen A. Smith Show right here over the digital airwaves of YouTube and iHeartRadio. Before I get on out of here for the day, let's get to some politics. Where independent presidential candidate Robert F. Kennedy Jr. appeared on Fox News' Hannity last night. RFK was on to discuss a recent court ruling that will prevent his name from appearing on New York ballots in the upcoming presidential election. Kennedy told Hannity that Democrats have tried to keep his name off the ballot in every state, despite the fact that he would take away more votes from Trump than Kamala Harris. Look at this quote here. This is what he told Hannity. If Fox News lets me on stage for the debate on September 10th, I will win the election. They're making up rules. If they had the presidential debate in commission, I would be on stage, end quote. I wouldn't go as far to say that Robert F. Kennedy Jr. would win the election, but he'd compromise it in terms of the binary system that exists, the two-party system between Donald Trump as the Republican nominee and Kamala Harris as the presumptive Democratic nominee. He would definitely have a detrimental effect on one of them, if not both. But I think he speaks to a particular subject that should make us all uncomfortable. And I think it's something that we have to talk about on this show. And we have to continue to reiterate. I don't want Donald Trump to win this election. Strictly because he doesn't know how to act. I'm fearful he will be on a vengeance tour. I think he's somebody that would go about the business of picking people who are loyal to him as opposed to who's best for America. It did not escape me that the inordinate amount of cabinet members he had employed to work under his stewardship when he was president of the United States, when he was the 45th president of the United States, flamed out, decided to depart from him, and spoke adamantly against him. And essentially, I think that he's so narcissistic that he endangers us. It's just that simple to me. But that doesn't mean we get to let the vice president of the United States off the hook, because she is the vice president. She's going to get my vote. I'm rooting for her. And in no way am I being critical of her strategy thus far. It's been 3 weeks and 2 days since President Joe Biden officially stepped aside and said he's not going to run for re-election, and ultimately she became the presumptive Democratic nominee. There was no primary for President Biden. So we didn't really see anyone challenge him. Perhaps had we seen that, we would have seen the cognitive decline. You know, the one that I alluded to more than 8 months ago that had me saying we need a new president, that had me saying there's no way in hell that he should be running for re-election, that had me lamenting the fact that Democrats were embarrassing themselves by standing up and giving standing ovations in unison, clamoring for 4 more years for a man that's going to be 82 years of age once the election rolls around in November. You have any idea how embarrassing that is? I've said this many times, but that's not Kamala Harris's issue. She is 58, 59 years of age. She's 19 years younger than Donald Trump. There is no cognitive decline. Age and attrition hasn't kicked in where she's concerned. She's smart. She's bright. She's accomplished. A prosecutor. A former attorney general for the state of California. A former senator. Now the vice president of the United States of America. What are you doing avoiding interviews? What are you doing using pep rallies as press conferences or one-on-one sit-downs? Again, to this point, it's not a crime. But for those people out there that want to tell you, especially folks who are Democrats, that want to tell folks like myself and others to shut the hell up, don't listen to them. No, you shut the hell up. We ain't going for that. Because that's what y'all was telling us when we saw Biden slipping. And look at the mess that caused. You shut up. We ain't trying to hear that. As I said to y'all the other day, I cover sports. Let me give you an analogy. I understand it's part of the game of baseball to intentionally walk somebody. I get that part. But if Aaron Judge is about to walk up to the plate, whether you're at Yankee Stadium or someplace on the road, and he is up against an elite pitcher, and a championship is on the line, and y'all brave through traffic and crowds to enter a stadium, and you paid $35 for soda and hot dogs and popcorn, and then the pitcher intentionally walked Aaron Judge, how would you feel? See, even in key moments in the world of sports, when the path of least resistance is available to you, because of competitive fervor, because of the authenticity of competition, because we want to find out, you against me, one-on-one, what's up? What's up? Because we want to find that out, we expect you to answer the call. We expect that in basketball. We expect that in football. We expect that in baseball. We expect that in tennis and boxing and UFC matches and everything in between. We expect it in golf. Why the hell can't we have it in politics? If Trump is getting interviewed by everybody under the sun, where you at, Kamala Harris? Yeah, it's your time now. Let's find out. I want to hear you answer questions about fracking and a single-payer health care and border issues. I want to see you smoke him on reproductive rights for women. He shouldn't even be able to hold your water in that category. Let's talk about Supreme Court justices. Let's talk about civil liberties in this country. Let's talk about the economy. I want to see that. I want to see nobody running. What's up with that? I don't want to see that. So that's what I'm saying. RFK has a point. The Democrats paved the way for Biden. When they paved the way for Biden, and he didn't have any competition, if it wasn't for a debate he agreed to on June 27th, which was 3 months usually before you see any debates, we wouldn't have found out. He would have sauntered right into the Democratic National Convention in Chicago next week as the nominee for the Democratic Party. This ain't the first time. The Dems tried to grease the ski, what do they call it? Grease the skids or whatever to influence votes. How about just being better than a guy that shouldn't be that hard to be better than? 2 impeachments, $454 million civil suit against him, 34 felony convictions. Can't beat him. Beat him. Beat him. RFK's right. Shouldn't be having to go through all of that. He should be on that debate stage. I don't want to hear his voice because his voice is awful. But I want to hear what he has to say, especially against them. Staying on news, social commentary, more so than politics, believe it or not. I want to go to Cuomo because Bill O'Reilly, he appeared as a guest on Cuomo on News Nation a few nights ago. And Cuomo asked me, I appeared on it. It was days after Bill O'Reilly had appeared on it. And I was commenting about something a comment that Bill O'Reilly had made on the show about Kamala Harris's racial heritage being an issue in the race. Rather than tell you what Bill O'Reilly had to say at that particular moment, let me play it for you. Take a look.
Any American who injects skin color into any conversation these days in a negative way is a fool. Period. You're foolish. Skin color doesn't have anything to do with politics, with the way we live and who we are as Americans. It has nothing to do with it. Now, if you are a person who lives and dies on skin color, I feel sorry for you.
As I said on Cuomo's show a few days ago, I feel sorry for Bill O'Reilly. And respectfully, the person that sounds like a fool is Bill O'Reilly. When you get your black card, when that happened? When have you been profiled? What are you talking about? Race plays no role in politics whatsoever. It doesn't have any impact on how people are living. You in the streets of America, you rolling around at 74 years of age. What are you talking about? I respect the hell out of Bill O'Reilly, the professional. I'm not talking about his personal life. I'm not talking about what got him removed from Fox News. I'm not talking about all that. I'm talking about a man that hosted the television show, The O'Reilly Factor. And for about 18 or 19 years, he was number one by a mile. There's nothing to dispute here. Whatever I've accomplished in this business, whatever a multitude of others have accomplished in this business, nobody in this business, excuse me, nobody in this business has accomplished what Bill O'Reilly had accomplished. One could easily argue Bill O'Reilly, the godfather of cable television. He was that phenomenal. And I still respect him. I just don't respect what he said on that particular point. I'm not attacking the man. I'm talking about what he said. You are not black. You haven't been profiled. You haven't been ostracized. You haven't been marginalized and pigeonholed. The opportunities that you received, Bill O'Reilly, although it was earned, I certainly don't mean to imply otherwise, would not have happened for black folks. Those opportunities didn't come our way. You can use Oprah as an example. Okay, fine. And you want to sprinkle a couple of black people that have been fortunate enough to reap the successes that the American dream accords us, fine. But by and large, we suffer. By and large, we struggle because of marginalization, because of being pigeonholed, because of being ostracized, because of racist and bigoted tendencies. Not all, not most, but some situations, yes, a lot of them. There are situations where black folks mess up. There are situations where black folks don't receive opportunities because somebody don't like their ass, not because of racism. All of that is true. But there are a lot of instances that illustrate racism is still alive and well. Bigotry is still alive and well. Bank loans, business loans, small business opportunities, etc. What are you talking about? Civil rights legislation. Who signed that into law? Lyndon B. Johnson. Yes, he was a Democrat. Quite sure he had to be pushed to do so. Fully aware that bipartisan support is what ultimately got it to his desk. Not alleviating that fact or omitting that fact. But when I think about Sammy Davis Jr., and I think about Frank Sinatra and Dean Martin refusing to perform at certain places unless you allowed Sammy Davis Jr. to sleep at the same hotels and eat at the same restaurants. I'm thinking about coaches that work diligently to integrate the sports, the sport of NBA basketball. Jackie Robinson integrated Major League Baseball in 1947. Fast forward, what white person has been ostracized from a sport because of what Colin Kaepernick decided to do? When did that happen? What are you talking about? And then when you talk about Donald Trump, well, why did he bring up Vice President Kamala Harris's ethnicity? Talk about she black. I mean, I thought she was Indian. But then she's black. Remember that? What did he bring it up for? Because he knew it would be advantageous. Because there's a base out there that cares about that. You might not, Bill O'Reilly, but there's a base out there that does. How do you ignore that? Respectfully, sir, you're not qualified to say such a thing. You're not black. You haven't been victimized because of the color of your skin. That's the difference, by the way. We see a lot of people ostracized and having discrimination or experiencing discrimination in our society. But rarely is it from the moment they get out of the womb. Housing, home loans, job opportunities, the economy, the unemployment rate, always worse for black people than it is for white folks, numbers-wise. I've said this before and I'll say it again. When white folks catch a cold, black folks catch pneumonia. What does that mean? What does that mean? What do I mean by that? That means no matter how bad it is for you, as a white person in America, it is always worse for black people, collectively speaking. Always. It's never been better for us than it is for folks in white America. Bill O'Reilly should know better. This is not an indictment against all of white folks throughout America and all of this other. We're talking not individuals. We're talking systemically. That is the world we live in. And dare I say, only a man approaching 3/4 of a century on this earth who happens to be white would be comfortable enough not only to say that race plays no role, but actually have the temerity and the unmitigated gall to say anybody who thinks so is a fool. Clearly, that statement alone personifies white privilege better than most things most of us would have ever heard. I respect Bill O'Reilly, and I hope that he will think about what he said. I hope he'll listen to what I have to say. And I hope he'll reflect upon it and come to a different conclusion. He has reached out to offer me to come on his show to discuss this further, in fairness to him. I have not accepted yet, but only because of a scheduling conflict. Oh, I will accept. And I'm going to look forward to having that conversation with him, whenever that may be, which I can guarantee you will be sooner than later. Until next time, everybody, I got to get on out of here. Y'all have a wonderful, wonderful next couple of days. I will see you soon. Until then, this is Stephen A. signing off. Until next time, on the digital airwaves of YouTube and iHeartRadio. Peace and love, everybody. We'll wrap later.